I completed an assessment yesterday on a house that was made mostly of oak. It was built in the 50s. And you go in the basement and the overhead floor joists are rough cut oak. With rough cut lumber, the thing I want to mention is that the little burrs that come off the wood, that's the first place that mold grows, because when you have a little burr that sticks off the surface, it has more of a surface to volume ratio. That's the first place that mold starts to grow. I think the reason why oak is so much more resistant than pine is the sap content, the sugar. When mold secretes an enzyme, it breaks down the lignin into its components. It goes after the carbohydrates and the sugars. Pine has a lot more natural occurring sugar than oak does. So it takes a lot of effort to get mold to grow on oak. The reason I wanted to mention this is that up in the attic was something truly, truly unique. It was, again, oak planking. But what was interesting was that every nail head that came through for the shingles, there was condensation, quite a bit of condensation, because it was poorly ventilated. A lot of condensation on the nail heads, and then that condensation wicks into the wood, and so you get these little eye droplet lenticular shaped mold growth around every nail head. So when you shine your flashlight up there and look, it looks like polka dots in a way. So just be aware that A, it's mold, and B, it's because of poor ventilation or marginal ventilation. There may not be any other mold anywhere else in the attic, but it will definitely be, and it wicks into the grain of the wood. So that's why it's lenticular. It's not a round dot, it's lenticular, because it's going into the grain of the wood. And that's what's happening. What you have to do is you have to remove the mold, just like you do at any time, but you really have to pay attention better to the ventilation requirements. In this case, they had a dormer that was cutting some of the intake off, and they had a spine, I call it a spine, in the very top of, directly below the ridge vent, and then the trusses came up, and it had not been cut 3/4 of an inch on each side of that vertical spine. It was not able to breathe, plus they didn't have any baffles. So there were a lot of components in the typical ventilation that you didn't see in this house. But I wanted you to know about that lenticular looking mold growth and what's causing it and what's happening. Bob Bennett, Farsight Management. It's better to use Farsight than hindsight.